This video discusses a disturbing and violent crime. Viewer discretion is advised. In the early 1990s, a young girl became the victim of a horrific crime, which took place in the state of Indiana. The age of the perpetrators and the brutality of the crime shocked the whole nation. The motive for the killing was jealousy.
I want to know about Shanda. Tell me about her.
Well, she was delightful. She was happy, and she was a typical little girl, very athletic, in every sport, cheerleading, everything she could be in, she was in.
Shanda Scherer was an innocent 12-year-old girl who became the victim to a horrific homicide. The events leading up to her death started in the fall of 1991. 12-year-old Shanda Scherer moved to New Albany, Indiana with her mother, Jacqueline Vaught. Her parents were divorced, and she was living with her mother. Shanda really wanted to make friends at her new school, Hazelwood Middle School. One day, Shanda got in trouble and was put in detention, where she met 14-year-old Amanda Heverin, who was and is a lesbian. The two of them formed an intimate relationship, which Shanda's mother, Jacqueline, did not approve of. Shanda soon found out that Amanda had already had a girlfriend, a very jealous 16-year-old girl named Melinda Lovelace. For months, Melinda Lovelace threatened Shanda in school and out of school. One night in early October of 1991, Melinda found Shanda and Amanda attending a school dance together, where she confronted both of them. Melinda developed a deep hatred for Shanda and was jealous over her relationship with Amanda. Jacqueline also claimed that Amanda coaxed Shanda into starting the relationship. Soon, Melinda started planning on killing Shanda, and she threatened her in public. Things got so bad that eventually Jacqueline had Shanda transferred to a Catholic school, a school called Our Lady of Perpetual Help School. Jacqueline described that her daughter was happier there and was making new friends and now getting good grades. Things were going much better for Shanda here. But Melinda's rage did not stop. Even though Shanda and Amanda stopped contacting each other, Melinda still wanted to kill Shanda. On a cold winter night in January of 1992, Melinda would finally act out on her vicious plan. Melinda Lovelace was also friends with a 17-year-old girl named Lori Tackett, a young woman with a very disturbed mind. Lori had always had a strong aspiration to kill someone, and she truly believed that it was her destiny in life. Along with the rage of Melinda Lovelace, the two of them hatched a sadistic plan to end Shanda's life. On the night of January 10th, 1992, Lori Tackett and Melinda Lovelace got together with two other friends, Tony Lawrence and Hope Rippey. Out of all four girls, only Melinda had known Shanda. Melinda explained to Hope and Tony that she hated Shanda for stealing her girlfriend, and she shown them a knife that she was going to use to scare Shanda and teach her a lesson. That night, the four girls drove over to the house of Shanda's father. Shanda was staying with her father that night. Melinda told Hope and Tony to ring the doorbell and to lure Shanda into the car by telling Shanda that Amanda was with them and that Amanda wanted to talk to her. Shanda told them to come back later that night while her father was asleep. The four girls then drove to Louisville, Kentucky to attend a rock concert. They came back later at midnight, where they found Shanda at the end of her driveway, waiting for them. Then they snatched her and pulled her into the car, where Melinda jumped up behind her and held a knife to her throat. The four girls took Shanda to an abandoned house made of stone out in the middle of the woods, called the Witch's Castle. They stripped her of her clothes, and Lori and Melinda took turns beating her up, and all four girls took turns bullying her. After a while, they shoved Shanda into the trunk of the car and drove up and down a long twisted road in the woods. The girls would pull over and take turns beating up Shanda over and over again, until Melinda pulled a rope from out of the car and used it to strangle Shanda until she blacked out. The girls then thought that Shanda was dead. They put Shanda's body in the trunk and drove over to Lori's house to drink soda and to figure out what to do with Shanda's body. But suddenly, they heard screaming coming from outside, coming from Lori's trunk. Shanda was still alive. Lori then stabbed Shanda in the back of her head. Then her and Melinda drove out into the night, up and down the dark country road, so that Shanda could bleed out and die slowly. During this time, Hope and Tony stayed at Lori's house. After a few hours, Shanda still wasn't dead, so the girls decided that they needed to get rid of Shanda by burning her alive. The girls then drove to a gas station and filled up an empty 2-liter soda bottle with gasoline. The girls then drove Shanda to a dark country road where Hope Rippey poured the gasoline all over Shanda's body, and where Melinda set her on fire. As Shanda was burning, the girls started to drive away, but then Melinda looked back and saw that Shanda was still alive and was still trying to climb to her feet. The girls turned around and Melinda poured more gasoline on Shanda's body. Shanda then died from choking on the fumes of her burning flesh. Afterwards, the girls drove to McDonald's to have breakfast, and with absolute sick humor, they joked that the sausages they were eating resembled Shanda's burning body. Later that morning, Shanda's body was eventually found and identified. The whole community was shocked by Shanda's horrific death. All four girls were arrested when Tony Lawrence confessed to the police and told them the whole story. Eventually, all four of the girls were convicted, but none of them got a life sentence. Tony Lawrence was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but she was released in year 2000. Hope Rippey was sentenced to 50 years in prison, but she was released in March of 2006. Lori Tackett and Melinda Loveless were both sentenced to 60 years in prison and have yet to be released. Shanda's family was devastated after they found out what happened to her. Shanda's father, Steve Scherer, was so depressed by Shanda's death that he became an alcoholic. He eventually died of cancer in year 2005. He was buried next to Shanda's grave. In my opinion, justice was not served in this case. Eventually, all 4 women involved will be released from prison, while Shanda has gotten the death sentence, and her family has gotten the life sentence. Despite their foolish motives, there was absolutely no reason or explanation or excuse for what these girls did to a 12-year-old child. None of them should be allowed out of prison. Shanda will always be remembered as a happy little girl with a vibrant smile and bright personality. For a young girl who will forever be 12 years old, may Shanda rest in peace, and may her spirit run freely through the Summerlands for eternity.